Okay, I think we are good to go. I'll call to order this regular meeting of Kent Park and Recreation Commission on Monday, June 11th at 7:02 p.m. I do not believe at this time we need to elevate any of the alternates.
Julia, so I can put it in the minutes. Can you just do like a roll call so I can type it up while we go?
Sure, you'd like everyone to say their names?
Yeah, just because I can't see the whole screen while I have the Word document open too. I don't have a second screen. So if everyone could just say who's here, then I can write it in.
Okay, great. So Julia Neff, I'm here. Let's see, I guess we're all gonna have different orders on our screen. So why don't I say names then?
Yeah, that's
we
fine.
have
Yeah.
Jared Kuzinski, Heather Lee, Rufus Durham, Blythe Everett, Elizabeth Bernard. I am not sure who's calling in from iPhone.
Okay.
If anybody wants to identify themselves as iPhone, that would be great. It looks like we have Lynn Harrington, Michael Perkins, Abigail Handy, and Jean Speck.
Okay. So commissioner wise, it's just Julia, Rufus, Blythe, Abigail, Michael, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Perfect. I'm good.
Okay, great.
Julia,
Yes.
Anna Dram's on too. I just
Oh,
have.
hi, Anna. How are
I
you?
guess mine says iPhone. I can't really tell.
iPhone. Okay.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a few additions to the agenda.
Okay, go ahead.
First is the playground report from Kerma. And in association with that, I guess kind of like a 1B or 1A is purchase of engineered wood fiber for playground surfacing.
Okay, where would you like that?
Just at the end is fine.
At the end, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing major. And then the third thing was, sorry, I didn't write it down, of course. Oh, the request for the use of the parking lot at Kent Commons from First Selectman Jean Speck.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry, who said second? I didn't see. Blythe?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say.
What is the parking lot being used for?
We'll get to that one sec. Can we put that one towards the beginning, Julia, just so Jean doesn't have to stay on and wait through the whole meeting? It's it should be very quickly. Should be very quick.
Okay. Why don't we do that after the approval of the agenda? So I'm going to move that now. I'll make a motion to approve as amended with the discussion of the parking lot next.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Blythe, do you second that update?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I don't know if I'm opposing
No.
something that I'm not sure of, because this sounds like someone wants to use the parking lot for something, but I don't know what it's for. So I can't.
Okay, Heather, sorry. We
I'm
we aren't approving that yet. Right now, we're just going through approving the agenda, but actually only commissioners are able to vote on things.
Oh, I
so
see.
you don't need to respond to any of this.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Okay. Sorry, any opposed? No? Okay, great. So Jared or Jean, does one of you want to go ahead with the discussion of the parking lot?
Can you just tell me, sorry, I'm trying to type this all up as we go. Who made the motion?
I made the motion, Blythe seconded it, and everyone agreed.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so Jean, did you want to speak or do you want me to?
I can just give a quick wrap up.
Okay,
Hi,
great.
everybody. The construction company that's contracted to do phase 1 of the streetscape project is getting all of their ducks in a row to start construction. And one of the things that they need to do is be able to store materials and equipment very close to the on-site location. And so they're looking to use a corner, the farthest away from where people will be corner of the parking lot at Kent Commons for storage of earth materials. So they term them earth materials. It would basically be gravel and or stone. So that's going to be the underlayment of the sidewalk before the sidewalk concrete goes in. And even so, Jared had mentioned maybe seeing if they wanted to use Emery Park, since that's not getting used as much. And even just that, like, I don't know, half a mile further out is a little bit tougher for them to do. Basically what will happen is at a point in the week, generally at the beginning of a week, they'll get a delivery of this gravel or stone, and then their team will use it to they'll take a loader, go get a load of it, bring it over to the site, put it in place. So that goes on as they're doing the sections. So it won't be a ton of traffic or anything like that, but it will be, some traffic and moving the materials, which Mather is a large construction company. They're fully equipped to do this in a safe manner. In 2020, September of, was it 2020, I think? We were concerned about losing a large grant that was funding part of this project. And it was going to be expiring at the end of that year. So we were scrambling to find places to possibly purchase a bunch of granite and just get it in the door so that we didn't lose that money. And Rick came before the commission and asked for use of that lot to store some granite curbing and some materials, which was approved by the commission, was also approved by inland wetlands. And I sent that information over to Jared if anybody wants to look at the permit. That permit is still good under inland wetlands. And so it's sort of it was approved previously. I'm hoping this is just sort of a reapproval of the same usage. It will actually be less because they won't be storing any of the granite curbing there. They're going to store it at another location.
Yeah,
so that's
Jean,
sort of the long and short of it.
just to piggyback on that, the inland wetlands permit is good for 5 years. I don't know if you said that, I can't remember, but so that permit is still applicable. So really it's just a matter of us rubber stamping, ideally something that was already previously approved anyway. But I think you said like maybe 3 or 4 parking spaces worth. I'm at Kent Commons. I've been there every day doing work, and I don't see that being a detriment at all. And we're already storing some materials there as it is. So it would kind of tuck right into the corner. It would be no big deal. If it can help make this project go more smoothly or as smoothly as possible, I think, it's great.
I am so excited for sidewalks. Rick also comes to us around this season because Eversource is always seeking to park their trucks at Kent Commons. So I just wanted to raise that and just make sure everybody's aware that typically we get that requested this season as well.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything come in, and I think they a couple of years ago they started creating contracts with organizations. I know they wanted to do it with the fire department, but they weren't able to sort of have it suit their needs. They may have a contract somewhere else to stage vehicles, and the way that they're doing their emergency response activation has changed a little bit post Isais. So we can certainly loop back around with Eversource and see if there's going to be any overlap or issues, although nobody has a crystal ball, so we can't, foretell if there's going to be a reason for them to have to stage vehicles, but we can follow up with them certainly to see if there's anything in the pipeline for that.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise it because usually we get asked around hurricane season.
Sure.
And so wanted to add that to the mix.
I have a question. I have a question.
Sure. Heather, is this specifically about this gravel parking area?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Go ahead.
I didn't look over any of the budget at all. I did pick up the flyer, but I was wondering that if there was a juggle between paving the Kent Commons or making Emery Park available to the Kent community.
Sorry, what's the context of this question?
I'm just wondering if there's a certain budget that because I'm very concerned about Emery Park being opened, and that's really why I'm here today. Because I'm really just curious as to what's going on. Because I know that, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining with this concern. I'm not sure that applies right now to storing the gravel in the Kent Commons parking lot, but we would love to hear from you when we get to
Okay.
public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, though. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions with relation to the streetscapes project storing gravel in the Kent Commons parking lot?
I'm sorry, did anybody mention how long this was going to be happening, or whether or not that would be an issue at all?
So the contract is for 180 days, but it's also weather dependent. But again, once they're done with that part of the project, so again, thinking about gravel, they're only going to be using that for, the first portion of this phase. Once the gravel is all in, they start laying concrete, they're not going to be using that space anymore. So I don't know exactly how long, but it will only be for the first piece of the project, and it will probably be in two pieces. They're starting on Bridge Street so that it accommodates the great decrease in walking traffic from the schools this time of year. So they're starting farthest out on Bridge Street at the concrete bridge, coming back in, and then once they're done with that, then they'll go all the way up to the top of the project at North Main Street and work their way down. So you'll likely see, a sort of flurry of activity starting in the beginning of August, probably through the month of August. Then it will probably maybe even less time than that. Then it will drop off dramatically. And then when they go to move to the North Main Street and start that piece, it will pick back up. And they'll be doing sections at a time.
As long as we think that we'll still have access for parking at Kent Commons and it's tucked in the corner, then I'm inclined to reapprove it, especially if it's helpful to getting the streetscape project done. I'm not sure if anybody else has an opinion, Jared. I think that's initially what you said as well.
Yeah, I don't believe we'll have any real problems. I mean, I spoke with Rick, about exactly how much space we were looking at, and it's really not a whole heck of a lot. And if it helps, like you said, to make this project go well, I think we'll still be just fine with parking, for sure. We're talking about a back corner that's probably more weeds than it is parking anyway. So, you know, I say we rock and roll and move along.
If we could,
Okay.
Julia, if you could just,
Make a motion.
yeah, that would be great, just so we can have it
Okay.
official. That would be fantastic.
So I would like to make a motion to approve the storage of gravel for the streetscape project in a corner of Kent Commons parking lot. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that was Michael Perkins, Jared, and then any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No? Okay.
Thank you all so
Jared.
much. Very much appreciate
Thank
it.
you. No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Gene.
So before we move on to actual public comment, at our last meeting, we had discussed creating a policy around public comment as we expect more people to be attending our meetings as we become more active and start figuring out what we're doing with the parks and providing more programming. And we really, this is coming out of a place of wanting to encourage the public coming and participating in our meetings, while also being conscious of everyone's time and getting through the agenda efficiently. So before we had discussed setting a time limit for public comment of roughly 3 minutes that would apply to everyone, and they'd be given a chance to speak at the beginning of the meeting so that we could take into account their comments as we then move through items on the agenda. We had discussed saying if you were going over 3 minutes, making a form of policy around then inviting people to include a written response, or sorry, providing a letter to the commission with anything that they didn't have a chance to say. Upon further review, when I thought about that, I realized that when people send letters to the director and the commission anyway, we end up including that in our public correspondence. So it does become part of the public record. So I don't know that we necessarily needed to have that in the motion and clarified. That's where I kind of came down on things. Do any of the commissioners have any feeling or questions about it?
I think if there's a lot of people, the
Yep.
3 minutes might become more important, but if there's one, maybe two people, you know, we might say, you know, you've spoken for 3 minutes, please try to wrap it up quickly, you know, not be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's guidance and it's wanting to give everyone a equal and fair chance to speak.
Right.
And I'll also just
so I'm with you,
caveat that
Rufus.
with that, when we have, you know, special meetings to discuss specific topics, you know, we really welcome the public to come and join those, like the one we just had about a pool. And so those are meetings that are by design to be more publicly engaging. We have a lot of business to do during these meetings, so I think that's why we're trying to keep the public comment to the 3 minute cap.
Correct. Anyone else? Okay. Moving forward then, I'd like to make a motion to create a guidance around public comment, asking speakers to limit their comments to 3 minutes as a guidance. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so that was Blythe. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on in the agenda now to public comment. Heather, I know that you were hoping to speak. Would you like to go ahead?
Yes, I was just wondering if there was any type of agenda to open Emery Park.
Yeah, so we are definitely aware that Emery Park has not been open for swimming the last couple of years. It started with COVID, and then most recently, and Jared, jump in please if I'm getting this wrong, but we had Torrington Area Health Department come and look at the pool, and they determined that it was not okay to open the pool this year, that it wouldn't be ready for swimmers to swim safely. So
Okay, why is it not, why is it not healthy?
Jared, do you want to go ahead? You
Yeah,
met with
sure.
them?
They felt that there were too many dangerous or inadequate structures or structural features that needed to be addressed and engineered. And our insurance company actually came in and issued a report agreeing with the health department as well, that they felt that there were too many aspects of it that were unsafe and needed to be addressed.
Okay, I
We
think this,
can't address them without
Yeah.
having an engineer come in and draw up a, properly engineered plans, et cetera. And as I said to you earlier, Heather, it's that's a time consuming and expensive process, which is why we have on the agenda today the
Yes.
discussion of a long range plan for the parks to determine the best way to address those needs.
yes. I know that Emery Park is not hugely popular, and it has been closed for a couple years. But I also look at it as I'm a working mom, and I would really enjoy a place to go sit. I see other towns that, they have a pool, they have a park, they have all this activity going on, but Kent doesn't really have that. I mean, if I want to go swimming with my daughter after work on a weekday during the summer, I have to go to Lake Warmog or Mount Tom, which is really not convenient because after work, I want to relax a little bit and have dinner and start my day the next day. So I understand that this might be an expense, but after of hearing the $800,000 that was donated in grants, I feel like this could be a good thing for Kent. That if it was fixed up, that the summer kids, they can have a camp. They can not have to borrow Club Getaway, because my daughter goes there, and she wasn't able to swim one day because there was a wedding. And I'm like, come on, it's 90 degrees out. She couldn't swim that day because that's not a camp. I really appreciate the camp, that's come back together since COVID, but I think this should seriously be done. It should be done. It should be a thing that Kent should have. That's just all I have to say.
I think the response, my response to that would be, that's exactly what the commission is looking into doing, is determining the best way to make swimming accessible in the community. But just fixing up Emery Park is a significant expense. It's a large project. So the commission on a whole is looking into the best possible solution to the problem, whether it's a real pool, real chlorinated pool, or whether it's fixing up Emery Park, whether it's doing something at Kent Commons. And those things, unfortunately, they are time consuming processes. But as I said, it's on the agenda tonight. And I know, Abigail, who is kind of the point person for our master plan subcommittee, I know she's very excited to begin looking into these things and getting feedback from the community, et cetera.
Well, that's good, because, if the whole Emery Park pool had to be rebuilt, I mean, that's one thing, because I didn't think it was too much to put some sand and water in there, but obviously there's a lot more that needs to happen there. But, you know, I think it should definitely be looked at, and I'm glad that everyone is hearing my word today.
Yeah, I'll just speak. Our priority is to find a way for swimming.
Yes,
And, we want to know whether or not Emery Park is the right site for swimming in the future. Other potential sites, perhaps ones that are in walking distance to town, that could be used more. Just do a study of that, and then if Emery Park makes the most sense, then we also have to have the conversation of, do we want to keep it as it is, a spring-fed pond pool, or do we want to invest in more infrastructure and actually have a chlorinated pool?
I think it
So
would be.
we're right
such-
there with you,
yeah.
Heather. And I will
Yeah.
say that
Yep.
Yeah,
I've had many times when I first moved here, driving to Emery Park and finding it closed because they had no lifeguards. I'm
yes,
thinking,
yes.
bummer.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
know, so, yeah, I'm on the same page as well, too. Yes.
Thank you so much, Heather. It was great to hear from you about that.
I'd just like to
And
say
we're-
one other thing, just
Yeah.
because I think it's really important. Heather, appreciate your feedback as always. But I just feel this is super important to be said. Club Getaway has been absolutely phenomenal in so many ways. And I want to make sure that if David or anyone over there is listening, like, we are so appreciative of everything that they've done for us, the facilities they provided, and they've bent over backwards to make us feel at home, accommodated. The kids always have stuff to do at one of their many great amenities, and they have hundreds upon hundreds of other people there at the same time. And they always find a way to make sure that all of our kids and everyone feel special. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I know there was one day where the kids couldn't swim, but at the same time, they've just always, when that happens, like, they always give us alternative activities and everything we need. So kudos to them, and shout out to David, because they've been amazing. So just felt that that definitely needed to be said, because they've been the bomb. So
Okay. Thank you.
you.
Oh, this is Heather. So I'm sorry. I just, I just have one more comment. I just think that, like, fixing up Emery Park and having somewhere to swim, it would be so huge for Kent. Like, it really would. Like, I've been living in Kent for 8 years, and when we first moved here, we did go to Emery Park. It was a little slow, but I do, because my daughter is a swimmer, and we have to travel to New Milford Brookfield, which is 45. It's like an hour. You know what I mean? So that's just
Yeah,
my
it's a
little
huge
input.
toll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do we have public comment from anyone else?
I'm here as a potential commission member. I didn't know if you wanted me to talk now or wait.
Yeah, no,
later in the
actually, that's
agenda.
perfect, because we're about to enter that portion of the agenda.
Okay.
So at our last meeting, as I had reached out to you and let you know, since we had multiple applicants for the alternate position, which we were very excited to have so many people interested, we just wanted to get a little more information on what potential alternate candidates we're hoping the commission could achieve and what their vision was for Park and Rec going forward. So thank you so much for getting back to us, Elizabeth, with do you go by Biz or Elizabeth?
Yeah, I go by Biz.
Biz. Thank you so much, Biz, for getting back to us with your letter. Jared shared your letter, and then we had one other. I'm not sure if the commissioners had a chance to look in the Google Drive about that, but do you want to just introduce yourself first for now, Biz?
Sure. So hi, I'm Biz. I know some of you, but not all of you. I grew up in Kent, attended Camp Kent, which was not as cool as Camp Kent is now. It was pretty boring. But we did enjoy Emery Park in its heyday. So I'm a teacher at Kent Center School. This year I was off because I had a baby last summer. So I have a 1-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. We just moved back to Kent in August, and we're just happy to be here. I don't want to be redundant repeating things I said in my letter, but I think there's a lot of growth happening in Park and Rec right now. And I would love to be a part of it because I would like to think I was a product of Park and Rec. And I worked the after school program and Camp Kent for many years. Something I didn't mention in either of my communication with you guys is I worked as assistant camp director in Goshen, and they have a huge summer program, like pre-K all the way up to like 14 and 15-year-olds as like junior counselors in training. And so I have a good connection with Colleen Kincaid, who actually, she was Goshen Park and Rec, but she's now Litchfield Park and Rec. So I'm happy to, and if Jerry doesn't know her yet, introduce you guys. She's amazing. She's like young and fun and has so many great creative ideas. Yeah, and I just think we're like on the path for Park and Rec becoming more inclusive for everyone, parks being accessible. So I think we're on the right track. I would love to be a part of Abigail's subcommittee to work on the master plan. I'm all for a pool. I think Emery Park has a lot going for it. We could really like tap into the nature side and trails that already exist there. So yeah, I would love to help you guys out and be a contributing member to the commission when I can as an alternate.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's great. So commissioners, we did have one other letter from Mary Ellen Epstein, and then the other two candidates for alternate I had not heard back from. If you, I'm not sure if we want to do this in executive session or which then we could move the vote for alternate to the end, or if we should just go ahead.
Can I just note one thing about the alternate and why it's really exciting to have someone like this here is while maybe the alternate doesn't vote, the discussion is really important to inform the votes. So your history and Kent, your knowledge of the school system, you being a parent, you're going to, any alternate, but I think particularly you will really be able to contribute a lot to those discussions. And that's a big part of being an alternate. So there will be a lot of ways to contribute.
I agree. And you're still able to be member of subcommittees. It's really just voting, and also alternates usually end up filling the seats of commissioners when they end up leaving the commission. So it's a great first step to getting really, really involved.
Julia,
I can leave too if you want me to.
Hold
all
on.
recorded.
Julia,
Right.
did you see
Yeah, it's all
Brian's
recorded.
email?
No.
He sent me a text message just a few minutes ago. Says that he it was at 6:33 actually, so it's an hour ago. Just emailed Julia, and then I'm assuming that.
Oh, yes, I did get that
Okay.
later.
All
Okay.
right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Okay, so why don't I forward along Brian's email to, or Jared, do you want to I'll forward it to you. You can upload it into there, and then why don't we discuss the alternate at the end of the meeting? Biz, you are welcome to stay on for now. We'll probably go into executive session when we discuss the alternate before making a motion. But you're welcome to hang out as we go through everything else. Okay. So let's move on in the agenda and go to the park pass discussion. Jared, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. To me, this is pretty simple. We don't have Emery Park pool. So I honestly feel at this point in time, there's really no reason to have a park pass. And as I've said to you guys before, I don't believe that we should have a park pass period for using the tennis courts. It's a public park. It's already subsidized by taxpayer dollars. To charge an additional fee just to go play tennis, to me is, it's just not really in the spirit of what the department should be doing. I've actually never, ever seen a public tennis court locked from use unless you had a passcode. It's not a
Yeah,
private
that's-
tennis. It's not
Yeah.
a private tennis club. It's a park, you know, and I know there was concern about vandalism, but as I've said, and Julia, I know I said this to you, is vandalism at a public park is the price of doing business. It's gonna happen. It's totally unavoidable. You can minimize it, of course, and you should take the steps to do that. But I don't think that the solution of locking the court is in line with that. Furthermore, it does create safety issues. I mean, you guys already know there had been an issue with someone getting locked in there. But heaven forbid someone's in there and collapses and the people on the outside can't get in because they don't know the code. To me, it's just far more problematic than anything that it saves, which is probably a little graffiti and maybe I don't even know what else could have happened. So I basically am hoping to make a motion, if you will, to get rid of that. And then obviously when a pool is open again, we can obviously and certainly should revisit it. But right now they're paying to use the tennis court and that's it. And it just, to me, it doesn't seem like it's in line with what we should be doing. And we will obviously lose a little bit of revenue. It's really hard for me to gauge how much that would be, but I believe certainly that we are going to surpass revenue significantly this year between Camp Kent and all the additional programs we're adding, and obviously raising fees, which I know Abigail doesn't want to hear, but the fact of the matter is hopefully we will be doing that in some way, shape, or form. So we will make up that revenue and we will exceed revenue this year in all likelihood. So I just wanted to open it up for discussion because the few of you that I have spoken to, I know kind of share my sentiment. So I'm not 100% sure like what everybody else thinks.
I agree that, all the tennis courts that I see, you just go and play. That was always what I've seen like growing up and forever around. So that's the only comment I have. This is Heather still. Thanks.
Lynn did just comment in the chat sorry, my dog, that the park pass also includes skating. I think that if we did that, I mean, skating, obviously we want to keep doing skating, but maybe we have like as part of the Learn to Skate or Open Skate programs, we have a fee for that then to cover it. But I do think that I think that it seems silly if the tennis courts are not fully used to be charging people to use the tennis courts. I think it would be awesome if our tennis courts were packed every day, and that would be the best way, in my opinion, to deter any vandalism if the park is filled and healthy and happy. So in my opinion, I'm fine with doing away with the park passes until we have more to offer with them, and then charging a fee for the Learn to Skate program needed.
Yeah, I'll just note that the Learn to Skate program is a fee program, and then there's like 3 open skates.
If there's
that were
open
part
skate,
of,
then yeah.
And so I think it's just that the open skates become a fee program.
So the open skate, you had 2 options. You could either be a club member, have a park pass, or you could pay per session. So it's easy enough for the open skate to just create hey, you pay per session, or you get like a skate pass. If that's something we want to go down, where you pay a fee and you're a part of our open skate club, or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
So I think there's an easy solution to apply directly to open skate. It looks like Jean has a question or a hand.
Sorry, I was trying to be a good girl and using my virtual hand. Yeah, I think I agree with everything the commission is sort of mulling over here. And I think with the new online registration system that we're going to be standing up, it'll be pretty seamless and simple for people to sign up for like that, sort of skate club or one use skate open skate and almost eliminate that, the old fashioned park pass where you have to come in and pay with a check and you get a little laminated card. I imagine the software has, you know, the capabilities of QR codes and things like that, where it could be
Did we lose
pretty
Jean?
seamless. Oh, did you guys lose me?
No,
No.
Perhaps.
I can hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah, that was just my comment, that I think the online registration system will help make this a simplified process.
Agreed. Anyone else?
What is Open Skate?
Go ahead, Jared, sorry.
No, it's okay. Basically, open skate is we get several, I believe it was Sunday morning for an hour at the Kent School rink, and people could, people can ice skate, like it's free skate, you know, you're just
Yeah.
skating around, you know, whatever.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Just really quickly, I just want to say, Jared, I don't know if you knew about this, but with the tennis courts, I don't disagree with anything that you just said. But I don't know if we want to make some type of a policy as far as giving lessons on the tennis court, or, you know, are we okay with people that are going to come in from out of town that use the tennis courts? I think it was last year we had someone giving lessons on the courts.
Yeah,
Um,
so I would say all the signage at the park needs to be updated. But my theory, and this would obviously, you know, it's up to the commission, but anytime someone's doing a for-profit activity like that, they should be paying a rental fee, whether it's a baseball team or using a baseball field, or if you had a basketball court and someone was running a basketball clinic, like all of that needs to, like, if it's a private instructor, they should be providing us with insurance, and they should be going through all the appropriate steps that any other user group would do. So I would say if there is anyone who's doing that currently or in the future, that, you know, we should have the appropriate signage up that explains, like, if you're interested in renting the tennis courts for lessons or, you know, private activities, please contact the Park and Recreation office, you know, yada, yada. But I would say that definitely should be, in theory, it should fall in line like any other rental. Like if someone were having a huge party at the pavilion, you know, they'd have to rent it. And so I would say the tennis court and any other athletic facilities should fall in line with that.
Were the lessons that were given before a park and rec program, or was just somebody who came in and did that on their own?
Somebody was just doing it on their own. And I don't think we were sure if they were from out of town or in town.
Well, that
And
should
it wasn't that big of a problem. I mean, I think there might have been the courts seemed busier during COVID. I think
Yeah.
everyone was trying to get out and play. We might not run into issue. We might not run into an issue with people out of town using the courts, because there might not be, you know, we might not have that much of a demand for it. But I guess we can cross that bridge if we come to it. with
Well,
the-
essentially.
I also recall. Go ahead, Rufus. I recall that we, as a commission, we didn't have a director at the time, and none of us really felt comfortable confronting anyone who was on the courts having tennis lessons. So we decided to lock the courts instead of talking to the person about what they were doing and asking them to go through the appropriate way. So now we have Jared, who I think can also speak up on behalf of the town and the commission.
If I may, so what exactly prompted going from having unlocked courts to having locked courts? I've heard it was vandalism.
Tennis. No, it was the tennis lessons.
Oh,
The
it was
tennis
the
lessons were the thing that caused us to have a discussion about locking the courts.
John really, yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
John's idea, and I think there was a couple little things, like with people letting their their dogs relieve themselves on the courts during the winter, and I don't know if there was a problem with the nets getting kind of like, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I think it was more that John was upset about like non-tennis use of the tennis courts.
Right,
With
skateboarding.
the
and-
lessons, I think that that's really hard to like. I think it's hard to enforce also. Like nobody, as far as I knew, it was a one-off thing. Like somebody might have a friend that gives tennis lessons and they'd say, oh, I have a park pass at Kent. Like, do you want to come and meet me there and hit? Which wouldn't be, if it's like not a standing reservation time every day, it's not that different than somebody sending their kids to a tennis court with a babysitter who brings a bucket of balls and is hitting with their kid. Like, it's just a tough thing to figure out. But I think if it ever became a real problem where people in the town weren't able to access the tennis courts because somebody was taking over the courts for the entire day or longer than like an hour at a time, and it's not people, then it would definitely be something that we would need to address and discuss with the person and remedy.
Yeah.
I've been down there. I've been at Kent Commons a lot, doing a lot of work down there and whatnot. And I have seen no issues whatsoever. And I'll be the first one to say, and I'm not ashamed to say it, like I saw a kid down using the tennis court with his hoverboard and another kid on a scooter and another kid on a tricycle. And that makes me happy. It's, once again, it's a public park. It's the price of doing business. If you want beautiful, pristine tennis facilities, like that's what a tennis club is for. I'm not saying we shouldn't have nice
Yeah. Well,
courts,
those
but
things
to
also
not let
aren't
it,
hurting the court. Like rollerblades don't hurt a hard
Yeah,
tennis court.
exactly.
We don't have clay tennis courts. Like it's like
Yeah.
somebody rollerblading on a basketball court.
Yeah.
Just in an effort to stay on topic tonight, since this was about the park passes and not being able to offer a pool with them and only having the tennis courts right now. Does anybody have any other comments just about that, whether or not we should be suspending the park pass program? If not, I would be prepared to make a motion on it.
I actually saw Lynn's comment, I think the motion should be at the moment, at this time, we
Yeah.
waive the park pass, not say that we're getting rid of it.
Yeah, Julie, you said.
Yeah,
suspend,
no,
right?
suspending,
Suspend.
yeah. And with the suspension or waiving is, it could come back eventually, but for now. So I would like to make a motion that at this time we suspend the park passes. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Abigail seconding Jared. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great, thank you. So next up on the agenda is a park development plan / master plan discussion. I was traveling during our last meeting when we got into this. But Jared and I have had some conversations. I went back and I read over, I was not on the commission back when the master plan subcommittee was meeting, but I went back and read the minutes from those meetings. I think we've all come to the realization that we're at a point where we really need to figure out what we're doing with Emery Park, what we're doing with Kent Commons, that if we're using both of those areas, then they need to be updated. But I don't think any of us are in favor of just going out and spending money to fix something without having an idea of what exactly we're doing in the grand scheme of things, to ensure that the town has access to great parks and uses them. So I guess my thinking, and we can discuss this and see what other people think, but I would almost, so I think, I forget the exact number for the bids that we got for the master plans, but one of the companies isn't around anymore. We don't know that those prices would even be valid anymore. I'm wondering, and this is coming new to this, not having the background of being in those meetings, if we should reconvene the master plan committee and have them sit down and figure out, one, do we want to go with a master plan again? And do they recommend that and want to get bids? Or two, do they want to look at all the discussions? And there were some really great points of different directions they could go with the parks in those meeting minutes. Do they want to give us the recommendation of how each park should be used? And then we could go from there, figuring out costs and determining the best route forward. Abigail, I
Julia.
defer to you on some of this with your experience.
Did you read the RFP? Because the RFP that we wrote was, about 5 pages. That subcommittee wrote it, and this commission went word for word. And in that, it clearly articulates a vision for Emery Park and a vision for Kent Common. So in my mind, we've gotten over the visioning part of trying to understand what we're doing with these two parks. So I think if we want to move forward with those visions, Emery Park becomes a place of passive recreation, and we really drum up the nature component of it, the hiking. I don't have the RFP in front of me. Kent Common becomes something that's much more active. We double down on putting more programming there that's active. We take advantage of the fact that it's in walking distance to town. If we are aligned on that vision, which the previous commission okayed it in the RFP, so I'm under the impression that that was what we were moving forward with. Then I think it's about doing an analysis of what that means. And we, when we did have this discussion, the subcommittee, or I don't know what it was a special meeting, we kind of walked through the different phases. I think there's still a lot of analysis that someone has to do of the parks, understanding the wetland condition, because that's going to give us some limitation and parameters of what we can do there. The siting of the tennis court is going to give us limitations of what we can do. But then we said, once we decide the future of the parks, then we can decide the future of the pool. And then if we decide we want to have a future pool, we can locate where that is. So in my head, we've got a vision, we've got goals. I think we still need to meet with stakeholders and get more feedback, and then put together concept plans for the two parks. And I think getting a landscape architect to do that with us would be really helpful. Then have a public meeting and then finalize the plans. So I think we've got a process. I do think that we need a professional to walk us through this, a consultant to walk us through this. My recommendation is to have a landscape architect. And then if we need additional consultants, such as a civil engineer, that landscape consultant can recommend to us civil engineers and get bids for us. So it's not a process we're trying to manage. That's my opinion. I know that Jared is a little bit more of the opinion of doing things in-house. I'm happy to support anything. And I think bringing the subcommittee back together is a great idea. I will note that Bruce Adams was on it. I don't know if, I think we'd have to, look at who was there and maybe reappoint some of the positions. And Julia, that would be for you to do.
I'll just chime in real quick, twofold or threefold. One, the reason I re-brought this up with Julia for putting on the agenda is I've been at the park spending a lot of time there, and the use it's really, it's summer. Every day has been beautiful. It never seems to rain anymore. And there's just nobody there. It's just not good enough. We can do better. And we have no real amenities to speak of, right? Kent Commons has a tennis court and a playground that is really sad. And that's really it, in a small pavilion. And Emery right now has a playground, and that's it. So it's every day I've been there, there's just nothing going on. Nobody's there. So we have to I use Abigail's phrase often. I like it, not kick the can down the road any further. These parks have been left untouched for a very long time, and we need to be the commission of action. And just Abigail said, and she's correct, that I'm more of in favor of doing things in-house, but even more so than that, I'm just in favor of doing things. So whatever it takes to move the process along, I want to support. And but I do just think it's important to point out that going externally does incur a significant additional expense. But once again, if that's the way we think is best, then I'm 100% for it, because I'd rather see something get done than continue to look at parks that really just aren't good enough. And then the third thing I was going to say is I still have to look. I mean, I looked at the RFP, but I'm going to have to look at it again. I think turning Emory into a totally passive park is not necessarily the way to go. I think there's a number of amenities and things that we couldn't put there that wouldn't, especially if the plan ultimately were to do some kind of a pool at Kent Commons, whether or not that comes to fruition, who knows? But if it were, that would be the park. I mean, it would be a pool and everything else would be turned into parking: pool, tennis court, pavilion, parking. So I would say Emory then would be a place that we'd want to look into develop a little bit. I also think we have a ton of hiking in the area and everything else. So I think trying to come up with a plan for Emory that's a little bit different than what's already offered very well and very nicely in the town. I think we could do a lot with it. Just takes, it'll take some creative minds. So that's my 2 cents.
I disagree, because I think that Emory Park could be something where a pool could be really beneficial. Besides the hiking, it's actually either a pool or the hiking kind of idea. But the pool at the Commons, it doesn't sound right to me. It sounds too huge. That sounds really too huge to me. But in the long term, I see that if Emory Park was a pool, it would bring so many people to Kent, because you come here, like a lot of people come here. This town is really full of a lot of people in the summer, and also having a pool there, or even something that is nicer. And people do not want to be, I've lived here for 8 years. You go to Emory Park, it's kind of quiet, but you want people there. You want to go where people are. It's nice to go it's nice to go to a park where it's a little quiet, you got some peace and privacy, but these places should be active, and it should be fun, and it should be a part of Kent. It really should be, and it will be part of the school.
So I just want to clarify that passive recreation doesn't mean that it's not an active place. It's just the type of recreating. It's not a place where there's going to be a soccer game, but it might be a place where people cross-country ski. I just want to pause this conversation, because I think that we need to have criteria that we agree on for how we're evaluating any discussion or ideas that are set forth for the way that these parks are imagined. There is a process to how this is done. I am a professional planner. I help clients do this. I am not interested in trying to take this on myself for this town, because I don't think that we have any criteria for how we evaluate anything that people bring forth to the town. So I'm happy to be an advisor. Jared, perhaps I'd happily advise anybody through the process. But the reason why you bring a consultant is because they are an outside person. They don't have, they don't have an agenda. They're just coming in to help facilitate a process to get us all on the same page. And that's a lot. It's not an easy thing to do. And it takes a lot of time. So it's kind of goes back to a lot of things that we have tried to muddle our ways through, the concert series during COVID, case in point. And I do think that having somebody help us facilitate a conversation would be a great benefit for this town. So we can get a lot of great input from people, from Heather and from anybody. I was on the sidewalk committee, and I really think it's worth the investment. If not to have a landscape architect draw plans, to have somebody facilitate the conversation.
Thank you for listening to me today.
Yeah, like I said, Abigail, I have backed down off that. Because if that's, like I said, if that's the way the commission wants to go, then it has my support, but, so I'm not trying to be contentious,
We're not tonight and figure this.
Didn't understand a word of that, Julia.
Can you now?
A little choppy.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, sorry. I think the AirPods stopped working that I was using. I don't think that we're going to be able to debate the merits of each park tonight and the path forward and actually make a decision just in this meeting this evening, the regular meeting. So I do think that we should reconvene and reappoint members of the park planning committee. Maybe we call it that instead of a master plan committee. And then that committee would be able to let us know, or come to us and present if we're hiring somebody or working on it in-house, but at least start speaking to landscape architects. Rufus, would you be interested in being on?
On that committee?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind being on that.
Okay. I think on the former committee had Bruce Adams, Abigail, Blythe, John Grant, Connie Maines, and I think that there was one other person. I'm trying to remember.
She's on the nursery school board with us? Fran Goodsell. Fran Goodsell.
Okay.
Was Leslie a part of this?
No, but you're welcome to be a part of it. I think.
No, that's okay.
I think it makes sense to have you included in all of the discussions.
Why was Leslie not included?
I was not here, so I won't
Okay.
be able to answer that.
Honestly, I do not remember how. I don't remember how it was appointed. Lynn's on the call, or Blythe. I know Lynn was chair at that
Raise
point.
your
I don't
hand,
know.
Jean.
Jean.
I don't recall. What I did want to just jump in and say is that I think it's Fran was on the committee before. I think it's a really great idea to have somebody. She's also on the Board of Finance. I think somebody from the Board of Finance. I don't want to speak for Fran. It would be great to have someone from that financial perspective for the town be on the committee as well. Thanks.
Perhaps Rufus Jr.
Sorry, what'd you say, Abigail?
Rufus' son. I don't know if
Abigail,
he
Rufus Jr. I highly doubt he will do it. He's so busy. I asked him to help out with our board at the KCNF, and he was like, "No, I don't have time." So he probably won't do it.
Okay, if the commission's okay with it, why don't I take the next couple of days to come up with some names to propose for the newly revamped subcommittee, and we could have a quick special meeting then once I have a list of names put together to then appoint the committee. But I'd also like to feel out who's interested and just make sure that we have the right group on there and have really thought about it.
Could you also send us the RFP from the old?
Yeah, Abigail, do you mind sending that? I don't have that either.
You know, Jared, I gave you that folder with all the stuff in it. And when I gave it to you, I don't have it on my computer anymore. So I think you actually have, I lost it when I gave you that folder.
Yeah, I have it hard copy, so I can scan it and.
Oh, you don't
scan
have
it
the
and email.
digital? I definitely,
I'll check on my computer. I don't know.
okay.
It's possible, but I know for sure I have a hard copy on my desk. So
Okay, so if you guys are okay with doing that, waiting a couple of days, and then I'll request a special meeting and get names out to you to think about and have put out some feelers. Then we'll move on in the agenda now.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. All right, so new items. Jared, do you want to go ahead and take over from here with these?
sure thing. Okay, new items. Youth soccer program. So I would like to begin registration for a youth soccer program. What I'd like to do differently than what was done in the past is I'd like to run it similar or almost identical to how we ran our youth baseball program in the spring, which is to have a 3 and 4 year old clinic style program, then a 5 and 6 year old, small sided soccer program, 7 and 8 year old, also small sided, teams a little bit bigger, and then potentially a 9 to 12 year old program. Although given what I've seen, I think we'd be hard pressed to actually get that program off the ground, but at least give it a shot. And if not, do, clinic work. If we have the numbers. So, yeah, before I go any further, does anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. Yeah, I think the format is pretty standard and worked pretty well during baseball season, all things considered, and that was only our first go. So I think for soccer, we could really, knock it out of the park. And I also think soccer is going to attract more kids than baseball and softball does anyway. So I think we'd be in a really good position, probably be able to get, several teams in each age group and, do something really nice. The only thing I think I think we're all probably in favor of that. The only thing we're going to need to do is hash out how much we want to charge. If you look at what I attached to the backup or the supporting documents, I outlined some of the costs in there. And, I know we've had a lot of kind of philosophical discussion about how much we should be charging. And, I probably will just continue to restart this discussion every time we have a program and see where it goes. So, yeah, I just wanted to see what everyone's thoughts were on that. And then hopefully we can make a decision, make a motion and move on.
I think that's great. I know that the baseball and softball was a huge success, and I'm looking forward to offering soccer too.
Great. Awesome.
So
Abigail.
Go ahead, Jared.
I was just gonna say, I know Abigail and I are on opposite ends of the spectrum regarding fees. So I wanted to know kind of what your thoughts are, because I know you've said before, that programs when run by volunteers should have a different fee structure. And I just kind of understand where the commission's at on a whole. I figured, since you and I have kind of the opposite viewpoints, so what's your take on it?
Oh gosh. So I know that it can be disruptive to families who have historically known that a program was X dollars and then it gets changed. And when I say that, families who maybe have kids in high school right now, but also kids in elementary school. So they've just built an understanding of what to expect of a park and rec program. So there will need to be their expectations will need to be adjusted. I have also heard that some question the value of a program when it does not have a professional coach. So they are willing to pay more when there's a professional coach, but, you know, sort of scrutinize paying more when it's a volunteer thing. So those are things I've heard, and that's why I caution when we do. I think the price points that we had for basketball made sense. And I think when we were putting the price points together for T-ball, those made sense. I think we can incrementally up them, but I think a huge change will just be disruptive, and you'll probably meet more resistance than you need. So my suggestion is incremental rather than a wholesale overhaul of pricing. And, you know, there should be a difference in value if you're bringing in professional coaches versus having local volunteers. And I don't think that local volunteers are not of value. I think they're extremely valuable. And I think having parents out there working with the kids is an incredible thing. And I'd like to see a lot more of it if we could.
So I guess my thing for the opposite side is that we have a lot of equipment to purchase. We have a lot of field renovations that need to be done. We want to continue to ideally request, more funds from during the budget process. And the best way to do that is by bringing in additional revenue. And I think the philosophy as to what a program should do. The baseball season operated at a loss. That was even with the change in registration costs. So, and I was kind of explaining this previously. Philosophy wise, are we okay with it operating at a loss and being subsidized by the taxpayers, or should programs cover their expenses? I think that's kind of the underlying question that I think, everybody should chime in on, depending on how you feel. Because like, for example, we have to buy, we have soccer balls we have jerseys, we have, if we do socks and shorts and goals and corner flags, and we need a new paint machine, and we need to buy box paint. And so the expenses begin to add up. And so the question is, how much of that do we want to recoup in effect through registrations?
Well, I think keeping it just with the soccer is good, because someone said, let's do, I'm up for the baseball and the soccer, but maybe focusing on one thing like the sport and just going ahead with it would be good. I was a volunteer. I volunteered, ever since COVID hit, everything stopped really. And there was, we needed volunteers. I couldn't do it at one point, but I did the first year with soccer. So I'm for, hiring a coach. That would be really fun for the kids. It's really important to have soccer. My daughter played soccer for 2 years, second and third, or there was third and fourth grade, then it stopped. So she never played soccer again. It's been 2 years. So we have, moved on the past 3 years of that. So that's my take on it. I really appreciate your guys' time tonight. I think I'm going to get going.
Thank you so much for participating, Heather.
Thank you.
Jared, so you're suggesting $120 per child. Is that correct? I'm looking at your thing.
You're muted.
That's incorrect. That's totally incorrect. That's something it's something from a past program that I was using some of the context for, and I changed some of it, and I didn't change all of it. Apparently I left one price in there. That's not right. That's what we charged in my old town, in case you're wondering.
What are you suggesting we charge? Because I think it would help us all think about it if we know.
So baseball, we charged $20. I said then that I felt at minimum, I thought we needed to charge $50, and that was still under that I felt was still under where we needed to be. Given what Abigail said, doing it incrementally, I mean, maybe if we want to up it from 20 to 30, you know, or 20 to 40 or 20 to 35. I just think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be purchased. And once again, and I go back to this, we just tripled the budget for the fields, and soccer is a program that takes place at those fields. So, you know, where it's all tied together. So, I mean, if we moved it up to 30 and you guys were happy with that, or 35, you know, I'm not in love with it, but I'll definitely, like, I'm a compromise guy. So, you know, if that's good, then we do it. Sorry, I was looking for something on the computer, and to move on and move. Yeah. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Honestly, like, you know, whatever that saying is, 6 and 1/2 dozen another. Like, we could just go ahead and up prices to your number, Jared, and we'll see how the community responds. And that's great, because then we can cover all the supplies right now. If we do it incrementally, then, you know, you're budgeting out the cost of supplies over a number of years, and maybe that's just, you know, too much. And so, you know, I think we will learn. We're going to learn either way. And if it inhibits you from being able to move a program forward in the way that you're envisioning moving the program forward, I don't think that's what we want to do.
Well, it doesn't inhibit, simply because expenditures and revenue are totally separate in a municipal budget. But I believe that it will inhibit some of our abilities moving forward to request additional funds, to continue to build the programs. You know, but like I said, I don't also want to scare people off either. So I'm not opposed to compromise.
Do we know what the fee was before?
$5.
It's like $5.
Wow.
Everything was $5.
When I lived in East Fishkill for my kids to play soccer, I think I paid almost $100.
You did.
And the
I know East
travel
Fishkill, and
team-
you did pay 100.
Yeah, the travel team was like 185 or something, I think. I mean, I don't think it sounds like a lot. And I know that if someone has a hardship, they can, you know, that's also advertised. We can have social services help them out, or
Yeah,
whatever.
the Kent Community Fund is already.
Yeah,
you
it
know,
doesn't sound, you know, I just.
pledged that.
And that's something Biz noted in the comment. Just this note that right now they're accessible to many families of all socioeconomic backgrounds, and increasing prices may hinder some from participating. But on the other hand, it's important that families know that social services has funds and can be applied to the programs.
So I just asked my wife, because I ran the New Milford soccer program for little kids back, I can't remember the years, 2009, 2010, 11. So that's quite a while ago. And she said, oh yeah, it was pretty cheap. It was probably about $35. And that was then. And we had high school kids refereeing. We had a variety of parents coaching, and I oversaw and had a few clinics with the parents that wanted to coach about what the overall approach should be and what they should or should not be doing with the kids. And ultimately, it was my responsibility to make sure that all the kids, you know, were having a good time and learning some skills at the different levels. But I think that puts it in perspective. $35 for New Milford, which is a much bigger park and rec program. You know, that's what it was 10, 12, 13 years ago.
And Jared, I think you have the most experience as far as, you know, what the cost of things are and what the value is for what it is. So you're probably the best person to dictate the price and, you know, if we have a lot of people that are upset about it, deal with it.
You know, the one thing, and this is kind of a side note, but we charge $11 a day for the after school program. So if you go to the after school program for 3 days or 2 days, you pay more than you paid for a 10-week baseball program. So I don't necessarily believe our costs are even in line with one another. I mean, to me, just 2 days of after school care, like I said, costing more than a whole program. I think we got to think on that a little bit. But I think in this case, Diane, just going back to what you're saying, the cost of everything, you know, we definitely need to order a shipment of soccer balls. I already ordered 1 pair of goals, just 1 pair. It was $400. Did that before the budget season expired, thankfully, for last year, or last fiscal year. But, you know, soccer, if we get Drywick, basic Drywick jerseys, $12 a jersey with a number on the back. We need a new paint machine, and to do soccer lines, you really need a paint machine that isn't spray paint, it's box paint. And that paint machine is going to cost you probably $300 to $400. Then you have to get the paint, which is crazy expensive. So it all does add up pretty quickly. And like I said, my philosophy has always been that programs should break even with their expenses. You know, and I think in order to do that, I think if we charged, we'll say $40 a kid, I think I can finagle it to probably come pretty close to breaking even. There's a grant I'm going to apply for too, which I think we'd probably be very likely to get, which is from the Target Corporation. And hopefully we'll be able to use that to offset some expenses too. But I think if you guys would be cool with doing 40, I think we should go for it. I see Abigail giving me a sounds pretty decent.
I feel like it's very, very reasonable, especially thinking about what, you know, we were paying. You know, my kids are 20 and 21 years old, and what I was paying when they were in elementary school, middle school. So, and you know, it's just, I think that's probably less than what I paid when my son was 4 years old when he started. So
I would definitely invest in paying for my child to do a sport, because this is when they're first starting it. And, you know, it's important if your families want that. So I agree with that. If I have it.
All right, I think that we should, I do think that it's below what other towns are offering. And like price wise, I think that it's in line and less than those, and we can see how it goes. And we certainly don't want to keep anybody from being able to participate. So we need to, as members of the community and commissioners, kind of be in touch with what the feedback is that we get on doing the program at $40 a child, if that's what we end up voting to do. But we just want to make sure that people know their options and where they can reach out if they need to apply for the social services. I forget the name of it now. Sorry, I'm blanking on it. But
Community fund.
Community fund, yeah.
yeah, I mean, can we put something right on the registration form, or is that weird to put something, if this is a hardship for you, please contact?
Yeah, no, we can. And they have to go. So we set up a whole kind of new system for camp because it was on the registration form for camp. And we basically, me and the social services director, Sam, who's awesome, by the way, we sat down, we came up with a whole system on how they go to apply. They basically go through social services because frankly, it's really none of my business. It's none of any of our businesses if that's
No, it
what
should
people
be
need to do.
anonymous, yeah.
And
it's really sort of a scholarship program.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then Sam and the community fund will determine if they meet, you know, eligibility. And that's that. So, and it's also, usually it's never a full. So like, let's say the program's $40, the participant may be asked to pay 15 while the community fund pays 25, something like that. And it worked really well for the camp season. It worked great. So no issues at all. And I spoke with Catherine Bacharach, who is one of the heads of the community fund, and confirmed that this was an option for all of our programs. And she said yes.
Great.
The other thing we might think about doing, Jared, South Kent School has one of the best soccer programs in the country. Top notch. And it would be really cool if, as part of our program, we might be able to do something where the kids get to see, you know, a game practice or something at the South Kent field, you know, for,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
you know, I think that we could arrange. Their coach is really gung ho for the whole game and spreading the word.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'd love to do. I think that's great. I honestly don't know much about the South Kent School. I know they're pretty prestigious with sports and whatnot, so that stands to reason. But I think that would be phenomenal. You know.
yeah.
All right. So if everybody's ready to vote on this, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the fall soccer program as outlined by Jared at a price of $40 per child.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you. All right.
Who made the motion? Was made by Julia.
Julia, seconded by Rufus, and I believe everyone said aye. Next up, the dog obedience summer session. I think the rest, sorry, I know that we're going on an hour and a half right now, guys. I don't think that I think we can move quickly through the rest of the items.
Yeah, agreed. Dog obedience, we already approved it. This is literally, it's the same exact program. It's just a second session of it. So it's more just wanted to let everybody know, because I don't believe I needed to get it approved again, because we already approved running the program. So unless anybody has any issues with that, it's literally the exact same program we already approved, just for August into September.
I move we approve it again. Just
Great.
Do we need an official motion for that?
No, I don't think so.
no.
All right, cool, good. What's the next on the list?
Senior programming with social services.
Yeah, so I met myself and Sam, the social services director. We met with the seniors at Templeton Farms and did like a Q&A and asked them a lot about like what they were interested in, what they wanted to see. Because, you know, I always go back to like, I'm not a senior, so we want to like, and neither is Sam, we're similar age. Like we want to know what they want. Like we want to hear from them. And what they really were most interested in were senior trips and lunches / food related gatherings, social gatherings. And so basically there's another item on the agenda regarding the trips, but working with social services, basically we want to start tag teaming on some events at the senior center, which is managed by social services. And I would like basically to request that you guys kind of give me kind of a blanket approval to assist them with their programming moving forward without having to come back to you guys for every single thing that we want to do. Most of it, there's a lot that will be done with the senior services, financial resources. If it's a program that will be spearheaded by Park and Rec, using Park and Rec's financial resources, of course, I would come to you guys for that. But with respect to assisting social services and kind of coordinating with them on their events, so to speak, just hoping that I could kind of get an approval to do that for the year so we can rock and roll. Like we're already talking about doing an ice cream social. We're going to call it students and seniors. And the seniors said they really like the opportunity to do like luncheons with the kids and sit and chat with the kids, and the kids routinely serve them, etc. So we're talking about doing an ice cream social around the end of the summer, things of that nature, really, really around the lunches, which sounds like in the past were headed up by social services. So once again, we'd be in a supporting role.
I think that sounds great, and I'm really excited that we're going to start working on some stuff for the seniors again. I think that it can just be said, I'll make a motion for Jared to, for Park and Recreation to work forward, I'll make a motion for Park and Recreation to coordinate with social services on some senior programming.
Second.
So the second?
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
Rufus is seconding. Any discussion?
I just want to say really quick, Jared, if I know Sam from the food bank, if you need any legwork or you need any help, give me a call. Contact me. I'll
Absolutely.
be happy to help with. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, well, when we're going to kind of sit down and do a little more in-depth planning, especially for this late summer ice cream social. So I'll give you a buzz and you can get in on our meeting of the minds.
I would love to. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome.
Great. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No.
Who seconded that?
Rufus.
I did.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have senior trips with Warren Parks and Recreation.
Hold on. It carried unanimously, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So one of the other things they were all like dead set on was getting the senior trips going again. They want to get out, they want to experience stuff, etc. And so I told them about a call I had with Don, who's the rec director, park and rec director in Warren. And he called me, it was like my first or second week, and said, hey, we do a ton of trips down here. And, we've wanted to coordinate with the town of Kent for a while. It never worked out. I'm hoping maybe we could start fresh and you'd be interested in it, which I told him I most certainly was. And now seems like a really good time to revisit that. So basically, Don, amongst other things, is like the trip guru. And I'm not just saying that because he convinced me. Like, I've spoken to other people who are like, no, he's the best around at running trips. Like, there's nobody better. He has all the connections. He gets all the good prices, all the good rates. And so what Don and I were talking about is coordinating on these trips and using his connections and resources to really build up a joint program. And what's great is that when you're doing a trip, the more people you have, the better the rate you get. And it's not only at the place you're visiting. Like, let's say I wanted to buy 20 tickets or I wanted to buy 50, I may get a better rate for buying 50 tickets than 20. But more importantly than that is the bus. If I rent a coach bus, I'm renting the bus. It doesn't matter if I have one person on that or the whole bus is full. So by having more people, you're reducing the cost per person, which obviously is important. But then threefold is, if we run trips in just Kent, we're never filling a bus as it is. But furthermore, it's the same people that already always interact together anyway. And what's great about doing it with Warren is you're meeting new people, you're getting new experiences. And when I pitched that to the seniors, they were ecstatic. They were like, oh, that would be so great. If we go here, it's just going to be us. Like, it'd be great to meet new people. We'd love to go on a big, nice, full trip. And so they were like, let's do it. And I called Don the other day and just told him, hey, like, is the offer still on the table, blah, blah, blah. And he called me back equally as ecstatic, like, let's do it. And he does, the trips he does are, they've done Red Sox games, they've done casinos, they've done overnight trips, Niagara Falls, they're going down to Charleston for, like a 5-day trip, South Carolina. They run the gamut in terms of inexpensive, expensive day trips, overnight trips, family style, senior, etc. So I think this would be a win, not only for the seniors, but also for our town on a whole. Like the Red Sox trip was an all ages, whoever wants to go. They filled an entire, well, they were ultimately able to fill 2 coach buses worth of people. Now he said that's more often than not the case, but that's why partnering up would really help us. So, you know, basically I would like, you know, the same thing, kind of the approval to begin coordinating with Warren Parks and Rec on these trips, and really using the resources, you know, really in the early goings, it's going to be basically us kind of piggybacking his trips.
Okay.
And so I'd like the approval to begin doing that. I know he already has the whole trip schedule planned out through the end of the calendar year. And so we can, you know, begin advertising for those trips. And at least in the initial going, the signups would just be done directly through Warren. We would advertise them the way we normally advertise. And anyone who contacts us, you know, I would just give them the appropriate info to begin signing up. Once Don and I get a better system going, once we have online registration, things would be done directly through us, and then remitted to Warren. But in the immediate going, we just have them go right to the horse's mouth. Is that like a saying, or did I just make that up?
I certainly don't know any of the sayings. So.
I think that all sounds wonderful, Jared. I think it'd be awesome and people would be excited about it. And I love continuing to add more things for the seniors. I think it's great.
Yeah,
We
could be doing a trip a month.
Unsolicited 6-month performance review. This is awesome that you are so proactive, that you're out there, you're getting relationships, we're not giving you, figure out what the seniors need. You're like, the seniors need stuff. I'm going to figure that out. Like, I just want to commend you for your proactivity, your dot connecting, your energy. And this is just another great example of that.
100%.
Thank you, Abigail. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah. And we're going to keep chipping away, but I think this will be, I think in a very quick period of time, we could have like legit programs for the seniors up and running this fall, and really have really accomplished some objectives for that demographic.
All right. So similar to the other one, I'd like to make a motion for Park and Rec to coordinate senior trips with Warren Park and Recreation.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Rufus. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nope. Okay. All right. Guitar and piano after school program.
We can table that till the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Tennis in the Parks fall session. Michael and I have spoken to the USTA, and we'd love to offer tennis in the parks again. Just basically do the same thing that we did last fall. So we would be doing it at the same price. I believe the USTA charges $55 per student for the 6 weeks. And it's a fee program, so we would be offering it at $61 again. So I would like to make a motion to offer tennis in the parks with the USTA again this fall.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Julia, it might make sense to give us the same budget we had last year to buy more balls.
Sorry, say that again.
We might need more balls, so it might, I was thinking we could add to the proposal that we use the same budget we had last year. I can't pull it up, but I think it was like $200 around that amount.
Just so you guys know, there's 2 full, I don't know what those things are. The squares that you push down. There's 2 of them full with tennis balls at the.
I believe the USTA is going to be giving us balls again too.
Oh, great. Okay, so we're good. Great.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, great. All
Who
right, Jerry.
seconded that?
I thought I did.
I think Rufus did.
Sounds good to me, Rufus.
Do you want to go over contribution to the Kent Pumpkin Run, Jared, or do you want to?
Yep, that's really quick. In the past, we've contributed $250. We received a request from the group that runs the Pumpkin Run for that donation or funding, if you will. It sounds, I don't know anything about the event being new, but from what I've heard, it's phenomenal and it's a great community event. And we've set up a time, the guy who runs it and I were going to talk about how Park and Rec can get more involved in that, more than just giving the funds, but also having a presence at the event and, either setting up a water station or helping run things, but definitely want to, it's right in our wheelhouse. But regardless, I think that we should approve the $250 because it's a recreational event and we've always done it. And it's, it's pretty straightforward to me. Sorry, I'm not articulating well. We're at that point in the meeting.
It's the same amount we did last year, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I'd make a motion to contribute $250 to the Kent Pumpkin Run from Park and Recreation.
I'll second it again.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
And I think it's a good idea Jared had to see if Park and Rec can have a presence at the Pumpkin Run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
he was really open to it. So I think it's a done deal. It's a matter of figuring out like what would be the best avenue for us.
Awesome. All right, next up, tree removal.
Yeah, this one also is straightforward. You're not going to like the price tag, but it needs to be done. So the town has a contract with Emmons Tree and Landscaping Services. They're on the town bid, which means we have already done the bidding process and this was the most reasonable rate. And so we can then use that contract for the entire year. So at Emery Park, we need a total of 5 trees removed. I don't, they're ash trees, whatever, mostly ash. And it is a cost of $3,600, but it's a safety hazard. The trees are very dead and they need to go. So I request that we approve that. They're backed up about 2 months, so we wouldn't be on their schedule until late August, early September.
So I'm just curious, what if there were a couple of Kent residents who are willing to come in and cut those trees down? Is that a no-no? Because
Nope.
it's a big no-no.
It's a big liability no-no.
that's
Actually,
fair.
Hard stop for Kerma.
if they're big trees, it actually doesn't sound all that unreasonable to me. I've had a lot of trees removed here. And
No, it's not, but it's,
Yeah.
it's like, it's easy to cut a tree down. A lot of people do it.
One of the trees, it would take out the power line. So
That one tree then in and of itself is worth the whole entire
It's
amount.
worth the money, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
think the insurance is expensive also, unfortunately.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the tree removal at $3,600.
I'll second that again.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Camp Kent updates. Jared, I'll let you take this, but I will just say that my two boys have now attended a week of Camp Kent, and it was awesome. They loved the location. They loved the counselors. It was a really fantastic week, and they can't wait to go back again. So thank you, Jared and Chris, who's not on, but for pulling all of it together.
Yeah, Chris offered to come tonight, but he had an opportunity to go play some softball. So I was like, don't worry about it, go play. Chris, I got to give him kudos. He is working so hard and virtually nonstop on it. And, I've been to several days of camp and different activities, obviously our first trip the other day, and it is going so well. The kids are happy. Like I said earlier, and I need to reiterate it, Club Getaway has been phenomenal. Like, they've really gone above and beyond. We did not expect to get as much from them as we have gotten, but they continue every day. We have a staff member from Club Getaway who's with us. Every day, Chris gets a schedule from Club Getaway telling us where we're going to be and when our swim time is, when we're using the rock wall, when we're using the ropes course, when we're using the zip line, when we're on the trampolines. So that way, whenever we go to those amenities, there's nobody else there. They're ours. Like I said, other than that, the time where we couldn't use the water, we've had waterfront access for an hour every day. And we have our own tent. They gave us a big tent there, like a canopy tent, a big one, and it's ours for the whole day. So they gave us our own cabins for changing rooms and everything, our own bathrooms. So it's ours for the whole week. And I think David deserves, a tremendous shout out for that. And I know some sentiment was expressed earlier about, some of the issues we ran into, but I would say they are far overshadowed by how amazing everyone there has been. And then I got to give a shout out again to Chris and our staff working super hard. It's the first time we've done this, and there's a lot of challenges that come with doing something brand new for the first time. And I think Chris is handling it so well. We have Tom, who is our ASP director, who's also a counselor. He's doing great. We have Lizzie and Skylar from ASP, and Chris tells me Skylar's everyone's favorite counselor. Like, it's just been awesome. And our new hire Shannon has been great as well. And definitely really important to have her there, her and Lizzie alternating, because having that female counselor every time is good. So I couldn't be happier with how things are going. Every week is almost full. This is our lowest week because of I think summer school and whatnot, but after that, every week is full. So, I mean, it's as good as we could have expected. And I think we're going to really springboard from this, and next year should be awesome. And regardless of what the future is with Emory, I'll be the first to say, if Club Getaway will have us back, that's where I want to do camp. And I'm not remotely ashamed or embarrassed to say that, because what they offer is far above and beyond anything that we currently at this point in time could offer. So.
Awesome. Thank you for the update, Jared.
Of course.
All right. Michael, do you want to give the update on the concert series? Michael?
Sorry, I thought I got signed out. Yeah, we had a great first Thursday, the Blue Martini review. Diane was there as well. They have a new stage from the years past. It's like a landscaping truck, so it's a little higher up. Gives kind of a great view for everyone of the band. Because of how they've been doing the farmers markets on Fridays, they now have a signage for the flow of traffic, which is great. So yeah, a good first one, and then we have one this Thursday as well, and they're expecting a big turnout.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Do we need to, sorry, just in the interest of trying to attempt to come in under 2 hours, as it's getting late, do we need to talk about the Memorial Day parade tonight, or can we table that, Jared?
Let's table that.
Let's table that. Okay.
Table it.
Do you want to give a very quick online registration update?
Yes, we're starting our training tomorrow. Update given.
Okay, awesome. And then playground update from CRMA.
Quick too. They said both playgrounds are structurally sound, so we don't have to worry about that. Swing sets included. We do need more engineered wood fiber because it's basically inadequate everywhere. So that's what you might call playground mulch. So I have 3 quotes here. I'd like to get one approved so we can get 100 yards in and use that between the 2 parks. So I'll go right on to that. And there are 3 quotes. Sorry, I always get stuck in this full screen mode and I can never figure out how to get out of it. There are 3 quotes for engineered wood fiber. The cheapest was from Dunning Industries, and the price is $2,293 for 100 yards of IPEMA certified engineered wood fiber. And someone said to me once, why can't you just use mulch? Because if you've ever felt mulch, it's filled with sticks and sharp edges and splinters. Engineered wood fiber, you could literally take it and rub it all over your body and you will not get splinters. So that's why we need it. It's really expensive, but you get what you pay for. So I'd request that we move forward with that, and we'll have Ed do the work to lay it all out. And I've been doing some work down at the parks, weeding and everything else to get them ready for the mulch. Or see, I said it myself. Mulch, how dare I? And for the EWF. So we should be all good to go once we get the shipment in.
I would like to make a motion that at the that we purchase 100 yards of wood fiber at the cheapest quote that came in.
$2,293 from the Dunning Corporation or Dunning Industries.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay.
This is point of discussion. Jared, what were the other 2 quotes for the same?
One was 2,295 and the other was like 3,800.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So they were actually, they got the bid by $2.
$2. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, awesome. All right, so the final thing, just circling back to our opening for an alternate on the commission. I personally would like to go into executive session to discuss it, to choose the person, just since we have 3 different people that we'll be discussing. Is everybody?
Julia, I don't think, Julia,
Yeah.
I don't think that's executive session material. They're not personnel.
I'd like to note that we now host these meetings on video, and it's a different dynamic than when we used to do this in person. Usually the people would excuse themselves and we could have a discussion, and that dynamic doesn't exist anymore. So I do think that we are not an elected group here, and I think that our discussion should be off the record.
It doesn't matter. It's not you can't.
Julia, as the chair of the commission, you can make your decision. Or we can table it and have a special meeting and have an executive session at another time.
There are certain regulations that you have to follow for executive session, and I don't believe that this is one of them that is allowed.
Rufus and Jean, as more seasoned public servants, do you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, so there's no, there isn't the affordability of an off the record conversation for
Okay.
public government group. And I'm just trying to dash over to the FOI Act to see if it's covered under one of the exempt, but I need about 45 seconds to do that.
Yeah, I just think someone at some point needs to start updating these things, because these are now all on video and it's a totally different dynamic. And I think that
Besides that, it's not on your agenda.
Who participate in these meetings need to be respected.
I would just say, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of line or out of turn here, but and I'm new to Connecticut, obviously, but in New York, any matter related to personnel or whatnot was executive session. Now, obviously, this isn't personnel in the strict way, but it is to an extent, as this people we're discussing are literally interviewing for a position. So I'm inclined to, and I'm inclined to agree with Abigail. I mean, what if we're talking about people and let's say John Doe and Jane Doe, and I'm like, oh, we don't want John Doe. He did X, Y, and Z. Like, isn't a person entitled to some level of confidentiality? I honestly, like, if it were me and I applied to be an alternate, and let's say someone had a problem with me and they wanted to air that out without publicly shaming me, I think that I would want to be entitled to, like I said, to that level of, I think, discretion, and it's also a courtesy.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly
I mean,
what
for
I
what
was
it's
thinking.
worth.
And I think we're thrilled to have all of the applicants that we have. I'm just trying to be respectful to the applicants.
We may have an out here because our agenda says discussion and not selection.
Okay. All right. So
Yes, your agenda does not say anything about executive session. And it wasn't added in the beginning.
okay, thank you. All right, so let's adjourn the meeting this evening. I'll be about to adjourn it, and Jared and I'll be scheduling a special meeting to appoint an alternate and also to appoint the members of the park planning / master plan committee. So you guys will hear from us about dates for those. Thank you everybody so much for your time. This was not meant to be a 2-hour meeting, but we had a ton to discuss, and I would like to adjourn the meeting at 8:58 p.m.
Excellent.
Thank you. See you guys later.
Thanks, Julia.
Thank you guys.
Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Hey,
Hold on.
everybody, thank you.
Gene?
She's gone, Rufus.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All right. How do I stop this recording?
I will see you later. I'm going to come in and talk to you about South Kent